So now let's go begin drawing in Revit. First I'm going to go into the ground floor, and we also have the CAD plan for it. But like I said, the one we have over here is not going to be of any use because of the contradictory details that we had. So right now we're going to have to create some profiles for the mullions, and we also said that the glass is supposed to be double glazed. So first I'm going to create a new curtain wall type. For example, I'm going to select this storefront, and then I'm going to duplicate it, and then give that duplicated one a new name. For example, I'll make it Kimia, followed by elevation, or we could also make it facade, indicating that this is for the exterior. It's not going to be any inner partitions. I'm going to also include the spacing between the mullions in the name, because if you remember, we said that we need a curtain wall for this side, where the spacing between the mullions is by 2 meters, making it one curtain wall type. And then we're going to need another curtain wall type for these sides, where the spacing is 4 meters. So we can't use just one type for all of these curtain walls. Instead, we're going to need two, one with mullion spacing of 2 meters and the other 4 meters. So let's go ahead and write that in the name as well. And let's say we're going to make this one 2 meters or 200 centimeters. Then click OK. For now, we're not going to make any adjustments in the settings. We're just trying to create the types, and then I'm going to have to make the type for the glass, and after that I'm going to have to model the mullions. Now, what kind of family do we need to create for the glass? In other words, which part of the curtain wall do these glasses make? We refer to the glasses on the curtain walls as the curtain wall panels, and so curtain wall panel is going to be their category. So now we're going to have to make panels for these curtain walls. Therefore, we're going to go over here, New, Family. Then I'm going to go into the metric folder, and here it is, curtain wall panel. I'm going to open its template. And over here we could create those glass panels. First I'm going to go into one of the elevations, for example, exterior. And then I'm going to grab the extrusion tool, then draw a rectangle. And that makes it one glass panel. Then I'm going to go into the reference level view to adjust this thickness. One of the thicknesses was supposed to be 6 millimeters and the other 8. So here I'm going to put 6, and that makes one glaze. And then I'm going to copy it. Also make sure to uncheck constrain. And then this one is going to have to be 8 millimeters. So we put 8 mil. And now what about the distance between these two glasses? The distance between here to here is, let's head to the CAD plan to see how much it's supposed to be. We're going to measure the distance from here to here. Here it is around 2 centimeters. So now I'm going to change this value to 20. So that's going to be something like this. Let me move this header out of the way. Then I'm going to make this one shorter, and then stretch it on this end. And now both of the glasses are equal. So this is the panel we need. So far we have created our glass panels. And now I'm going to also measure the distance between their outer sides, and it's supposed to be 34. So it's 34 millimeters long. And if you like, you could even include the decimal digits. For example, from here to here is this value where you can see also there's a 5 at the end, which you could even include it if you like. In other words, you are free to make the distance between these two panels exactly like in the CAD plan. Like you could make this 0.205. Alright, and if you remeasure the distance between the outer sides, then you will have the value that is exactly like what you have in the CAD plan. So now we're finished with the double glazed glass. Let's also delete this. And then you could even go over here to lock these two so that they don't accidentally move. Let's also go double check in the exterior elevation. This is the first panel and this is the second one. Now as for their materials, I could go over here and select them both together. And then I'm going to define a parameter for their material so that I could edit it in the project space. For example, I'm going to name this parameter material and click OK, and also make sure that it is a type parameter. So we just defined a parameter for it that we can edit in the project. Let's go and save this family over in the Families folder, I'm going to go over here to save it in this folder. Now, as for the name of this family, we're going to make it Curtain Wall Panel. Now, it's also up to you if you want to give it a specific name, like you can make it 6mm glass and 8mm glass. For example, I'm going to also add a kimia at the beginning and make it kimia/elevation curtain panel. Let's also make this uppercase E. And instead of slash, I'm just going to put a hyphen. There we go. Now I'm going to save this. So far we have made our panel. And now if I click on Load into Project, and then select the wall, go to Edit Type, then we could edit this type of curtain wall. And then for its curtain panel, I'm going to select what I've just made. It was Kimia Elevation Curtain Wall Panel. So now let's see how it's going to look when drawn. You can see that for this family, this is how the glasses appear. Next, I'm going to have to create the mullions for it. If I press the Tab key and select these panels, then I could go to Edit Type to also assign a material to them. For example, I could give them the glass material. So this way, we've just saved ourselves from having to adjust the material in the family space. Instead, we're just going to look through this list and select a material like glass. This is merely for an example, and we're going to readjust it later. So far we have made the panel, and now let's go and make the mullions for it. Now, what kind of family do we need to make for the mullions? In other words, in which category do we find them? The mullions are in fact profiles, so we're going to have to open a profile template. So I'm going to look through this list, where we can find a template which is called Profile Mullion. This is the template that we need to use and draw our mullion in. Now for this one, you could either go to the CAD plan and measure the dimensions of the mullion and then draw around it, or you could just import the CAD demonstration itself. You could just import the CAD plan into your template and then draw around it, which I think is the best thing to do. So I'm going to go over here, and first I'm going to copy this mullion. It's actually a block right now, so I'm going to explode it, and then I'm going to copy it. Now I'm going to paste it into a whole new file, and I'm just going to place it over here somewhere near the middle. Now I'm going to save this into this folder, and also I'm going to name it Mullion. Alright. Now I'm going to go into Revit, and instead of drawing everything randomly, I'm just going to import the CAD. I'm going to go to this folder, select Mullion, then select Meter for Unit, Current View Only, and Color Black and White. So it's going to look like this. Now here you could either explode your CAD file to make this into a group of lines, and so basically you would have your profile, only then you'll have to also split these spots and then trim the lines together. You see, in the version 2025 of Revit, this new feature has been added where you can draw profiles inside each other. The older versions didn't have this feature, but in this newest version, it has been added, and it's also very helpful. Alright, so now I'm going to take this mullion and move it to the center, right at the center of these reference planes. So far this mullion has the correct profile, and I could just load it into the project and use it. So let's also try it out. I'm going to save it first into the Families folder, and then I'm going to name it Kimia -Elevation Mullion. Then I'm going to load it into Project, and then in the ribbon I'm going to select Mullion, and then for example I'm going to duplicate the selected type, then I'm going to name it Kimia Elevation Mullion. Now I'm going to head to its profile and select the profile that we just made, and there we go. Now you're going to also have to select the curtain wall and then go to Edit Type. And also remember that you could not assign a profile to this curtain wall at first. And the way that it goes is that first you're going to have to create a mullion, and assign a profile to it. Then you could choose that mullion profile for your curtain wall, which you can see we have it in the drop down. So if I assign this family to all of the mullions, and also let's say we're not going to have any horizontals, then I'm going to click OK. And then this is how the mullion will look on the curtain wall. So now you can go ahead and draw your curtain walls like this. Now here we're going to also want to use the details that we were given for this plan. And you see it's going to look so much better that in your Phase 2 plans, your mullions don't look like this. Instead, it's going to have to look like what we have in this CAD plan. They need to have details just like in this details sheet, because the details are very important in the plan. So we're going to want to apply these details to our mullions to make them look like this. Now, how do you suggest is better that we do this? Because we can't just manually draw some of the details. Actually, we could, but it's going to take a lot of time. We would just have to measure back and forth. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy this CAD drawing, copy it, and then paste in a new file. We're going to place it over here. Alright, now I'm going to save this as detail mullion. Okay, so then I'm going to go over to Revit, and then I'm going to open a detail item family template, and also remember we're not going to import that CAD in here again. Instead, we're going to open a detail item family, going into the metric folder, and then I'm going to select this detail item template and open it. Then I'm going to import that CAD file in this one. I'm going to select that CAD file I made, then open it, and here it is. Then I'm going to explode it. After exploding that CAD drawing, it's going to look like this, and these will become the regions, and the rest will be all lines. So here's our mullion. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load this into that mullion family we've made earlier. I'm going to load it in this family and put it here, then press the spacebar to rotate it, and then I'm going to move it and place it over here. So now we've got the detailed mullion. So do you see how useful that profile feature is? You could very easily add the details from AutoCAD to your families, like how we just did. Now we're going to also grab this line and move it here. And then on the left side, we're going to grab this line and move it on the other one as well until they are fully aligned. So we're going to keep doing that, even for this side up here. And I'm going to also move this line. And now our mullion family is fully detailed. Not to mention that it's going to also look so much better in the plan. And now if I try to load this family into the project, do you see how much better the mullions look now? We've got all the details we need in the mullion family, and they've been placed on the curtain wall. Now, if you look closely, you'll notice that this glass isn't in the right place, and it's supposed to be here between the two regions. So now to fix this, we're going to have to first measure the length that needs to be filled, which is this value over here that I'm going to copy. And after that, we're going to select the mullion and give it an offset. As in, I'm going to go to Edit Type for the mullion, and then for its offset, I'm going to put that value. Now, as you can see, all of the mullions move up, and then the glasses will go exactly where they're supposed to. Alright, so far we have created our curtain wall, and now let's go to its Edit Type again, and readjust some further settings. Alright, so we have assigned the panel for it, and then for the grids, first we're going to have to turn off the horizontals, because we don't need them. And as for the vertical grids, we said that we needed for the distance between these mullions to be by 2 meters. So for the spacing, we're going to put 2. We've also assigned the mullion family that we've made, and we also make sure to turn off all of the horizontal mullions. That's it for the settings. Now I'm going to click OK, and then delete. And then this will be the curtain wall that we've made for this side of the exterior. Now let's start drawing the actual curtain wall on the plan, which I'm going to start from this end, and I'm going to drag it all the way to the right and stop right here. Alright, And now as you can see, the mullions don't seem to be placed on the link, and they're not coordinated with the CAD plan yet. In such cases, you're going to have to go over to the Properties palette and alter your curtain wall justification. For example, mine is right now on Beginning, so I'm going to change it to End, which doesn't seem to be doing quite what we need yet. Alright, so I'm going to change it to Center, and now you can see that once I set the justification on Center, all of the mullions have been placed exactly where they need to be. And now if you try to move them around, for example, if I move this a little to the right, you'll see that all of them will go exactly in the right places. So it's as easy as that. Now there goes the drawing of the curtain walls, and now we have one more thing to do, where we need to actually change the type of this curtain wall to add the curtain walls for the sides, as well as the corner mullions. These are the things that we're gonna do in the next video, and then we will draw the rest of the curtain walls for the project.